Hi, I'm Philip. I'm freelance graphic designer and art director. And I had some fun doing a logo today and I wanted to share my process with you guys. I went to a random word generator. For those of you who don't know what random word generator is, it is basically a website which just spits you out random words, and the task is to build your own briefing out of it and then just come up with a logo. And that's a little exercise which I'm doing on a regular basis just to progress and get better at logo design. And yeah, that's what I did today. And I did get the two words Monopoly and Rebel. And from here on, I just thought, yeah, okay, what could this mean? What could this be? What kind of brand or company could this be? And I imagined it that it is like this crazy club which are a bunch of guys and girls which are hardcore professional playing Monopoly gamers, and they travel around the world going to all these contests and win big prize money and earn their living actually by playing Monopoly the whole time. So that was my idea, and let's just jump into the scribbles and see what we come up with. So we ended up with one idea, which is the fist for the rebel. And on top we do have the M, and on the bottom we do have the R. Let's make them capital, the other way around. We do have the M at the top, and we do have the R at the bottom. And we have a variation on the right hand side, which is just the fist without the wrist, and it has the cardboard or the game board just around it over here as a contour or an outline. So let's jump from here into Illustrator and make a nice logo out of it. Now we're back into Illustrator. And we do have our canvas here, and we do have our sketch over here, the two examples which we are going to create now. We do have on the one hand side the fist with the M on top and the R on the bottom, and the other one is the fist as well, but with the cardboard around it, or the game board around it. So we're going to create those two versions now. And from here on, we are going to play a bit with typography to see which one is actually fitting better together, and then decide which we're actually going to use. So we're going to start with this one here first, and from here on we're going to have these rectangular shapes. So these are the three knuckles. Now we're going to create the palm here. For this one, we just use the same height as the knuckles and stretch it over. So now we want to space them out evenly. Let's see, we can just jump into this outline mode by pressing Command Y, and then we can see if the elements are properly aligned and just on top of each other. And if they're a little bit intersected, it just gets messy. So we want everything as clean as possible, and this one looks pretty tidy. So now we got the spacing down as well. Let's just make this one red. Now we need to create the thumb. So we do have the spacing around here, which is going straight down and building the wrist here with the same thickness. So that's the same thing which we're going to do here as well. We're just going down here, stretch it, duplicate it with pressing Alt and just drag it over, rotate it by 90 degrees, and we're probably finishing here because it should have probably the same thickness here as we see it in the scribble here as well. And now we just place it in the middle. So let's just zoom in here, see if everything just aligns neatly, which is actually looking pretty good. Then we just select both these elements. Go to the Pathfinder tool on the right side here. If you don't have it here, you also find it under Window, and then just press the Pathfinder. And we just connect those two elements together to have this one shape, and then subtract this from the background layer. And there we go. We do have our fist. So from here on, we're nearly done with the first logo. Now we just need the R, so the basic shape down here. We're going to go with probably the same height as the knuckle. If it doesn't work out, then we'll probably go with a bigger one. And on here, it probably aligns just at the end of the second knuckle. So this is what we're going to do as well. So this is the proper thickness, and from here on we just drag this over probably into here. Maybe not as far, maybe just half of the knuckle. So the wrist is not that thick. We do have this more lengthened shape, and maybe we just make it a bit more longer. Then we just can connect it to the side. Yeah, this one looks pretty cool so far. So this one is the first draft. Quite like it. So let's connect those elements together, and then we'll just group them. There we go. Then we just can make them smaller. Oh. There we go. Our first fist. So the second version is going to be pretty simple. We're just going to get rid of the anchor points down here. For that, we're just selecting the whole element, going to our pen tool, and then just delete the anchor points. And we can delete this one here as well. And yeah, we're done with the second version. We just need our outline now, which shouldn't be a big problem. So the only thing which is probably happening is that it is not a square. So we're going to get our fist into the square shape because the Monopoly board is obviously square shaped. So we want a square shape for our board as well. We just adjust the stroke thickness a bit and probably just go with aligning the stroke to the outside. Yes, and then from here on we just go put it in the end and just drag it over, and then we resize it And oh, that didn't work. Let's try this again. We resize it. There we go. Doesn't look too bad. So now we can check if the spacing is actually proper right, because we just transformed it and stretched it. So obviously it is not proper. So we need to do it again, or we could just adjust it. So if I'm looking at the logo, I think the knuckles in comparison to the palm is a bit too thick. So what we're going to do is just to adjust the height of the knuckles to the proper outline. Zack, zack, zack. There we go. And we do have the same spacing here. We just need to check if the spacing is right here. Obviously it's not. So on this case here, we just place it in the middle of both. Let me check if I can do this. Like this one here, perfect. So then we just select the proper anchor points. Can get rid of those two. We just select this anchor point and this anchor point, and we're dragging it to the outwards, to the outside, and do the same one over here. There we go. Delete this one here, go out. Now we got proper spacing. There we go. So this one is a cardboard, the game board. Let's make it a bit thicker. So I adjusted the spacing between the fist and the outline to make it double the amount which we actually have in the inside, just to make the fist and the board as separate elements. Because if we get them too close together, they actually appear as one, and you can't really define which is the fist and which one is the board. So I need the space to make the fist breathe. So from here on, we do have those two logo variations. We do have this one and this one here. And now we're going to play with a bit of topography, bring the name in, and maybe start with coloring as well. But let's just start with the topography. So I ended up with those two versions. I used a font called Alpha now for the topography, and I think it really fits to the thickness of the logo, and it has the proper weight in comparison to it. I personally prefer the right logo because it looks a bit more clear. So we're going to continue with this one here. In terms of coloring, I decided to go with like a standard green. I think the board is always green, and additionally I added red and yellow because as I remember my board, we had like this little fields where the cards were placed, and they were actually red and yellow, so that's that. There we go. Now it's really hard to decide. Normally I would just go with the right one because I like the clean version, but it looks more like banking, so the left one looks more fun. And they are rebellious, but they like playing Monopoly, and it's quite fun, so I think we're going with the more colorful variation here. And yeah, this is it. This is the final logo which we came up with.